Well, as I mentioned, the stocks market now starting to drop. This all coming as China's president, of course, is now gaining more power. We can almost call him an emperor in the middle of these trade tensions. They're heating up. I want to go to former State Department Deputy Spokesman Ereli on what it all means for our relationship with China. Sir, I just talked about this Section 301 Trade Act investigation. It began in August, but now we're hearing more and more about it, in part because of the actions taken on tariffs and also now the reorganization within the administration. It feels like, for lack of a better term, that economic nationalism is back front and center, and that means we're going to push back hard against China.
Well, I think that's a fair assessment. Number one, Peter Navarro is looking to increase his influence and stature in the White House. Gary Cohn has left. I think in the context of the Tillerson departure, what you're seeing is a pattern of nationalist, confrontationalist Trump enablers being elevated to positions of prominence, and the constrainers of Trump, or the adults in the room as they were called, being sidelined. I think that narrative is probably a little bit simplistic and ignores a lot of the realities of the policymaking process. But the fact of the matter is, Trump campaigned on a number of key themes. He is committed to following through on those themes. His record has been pretty good, but there are a couple of areas where he hasn't been able to deliver as promised. One is on China, one is on trade, and one is on Iran. So with respect to China, with respect to 301, I would look for Trump to be, and the Trump administration, to take a more confrontational attitude, a more aggressive attitude with respect to China on trade. They've already started it with the tariffs. They're going to continue it with other trade issues related to China. On NAFTA, the negotiations are going on. Ambassador Negroponte is absolutely right. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I wouldn't make any bets on that score. And then finally on Iran, again, all signs are pointing to a departure from the JCPOA. In what form or fashion and at what timing has remained to be seen. But if you look at the pattern, to me it points to Trump following through on his promises. He promised to move the embassy to Jerusalem. He did it. He promised to renegotiate NAFTA. He's doing it. He promised to be tough on Iran. He used chemical weapons in Syria.
Right.
So I think there's a pattern here.
Yeah, and to that point, the economic part of it would be the hardest because, as the term implies, a trade war would have casualties and collateral damage on both sides. So we understand why we've avoided that, but it feels like the longer we've avoided it, the more the world, most specifically China, has taken advantage of that. And I believe voters of President Trump are willing to take the hits, the near-term, short-term economic hits that come with this. But unfortunately, the GOP elites, Wall Street, they have been screaming loudly. And my point of the question here is, does that hurt President Trump's attempts to level the playing field abroad?
Well, I mean, look, there are short-term hits and there are long-term hits. And those who argue against the politics of the gesture, let us say announcing tariffs or announcing an embassy move or announcing that you're leaving an agreement, point to both short-term hits and long-term hits. But the long-term hits are the ones that are the scarier ones because, look, the world is complicated and there are unintended consequences on a number of different levels to decisions made in Washington for short-term political gain.
Right.
And I think that's the dynamic. And, the people around Trump, I think it's been shown and demonstrated quite clearly is, don't get on the wrong side of the boss. Help him to do what he wants to do. And if you take issue with him, do it in private, not in public.
Yeah.
And that was Tillerson's cardinal sin, I think.
I think so, too. Tillerson, a very proud man, obviously, very accomplished, very successful. Not sure he was ever really a good fit, although probably needed out of the gate since you had a non-politician coming into the job. Sir, thank you very much. Really enjoyed your comments.
Appreciate it.